We are so excited to be here with all of you. My name is Miriam Bartz. I am an assistant director for career development. I work with graduate students and alumni here in the Career Center at Santa Clara University.
Amazing. All right, let's get started. So, today we're focused on building a fearless job search, and we really wanted to target what might be some top fears that are stopping you or preventing you from having a successful job search. So, we have a quick little poll that we'd like to do. In the chat, can you put in a number that matches which of these four job search fears that speaks to you the most right now? So for number one, it could be I don't have enough experience, I'm not good enough. Put in number two if you feel like your top fear is I don't have a strong network. I don't have enough time for number three. In the chat, put in number four if you feel like you don't even know where to start. All right, we've got a good mix, but I'm seeing a lot of number ones. Seems like top fear might be feeling like you don't have enough experience, which can definitely be that alone, that feeling alone can be a barrier in and of itself. Okay, so our goal today is to provide some actionable steps and some concrete things that you can actually do to address each of these four fears in your job search. So let's start kind of overview what might be holding you back. So we kind of reviewed those quick four fears. And so all of these fears combined can result in imposter syndrome, procrastination. So we want to target those fears so that you can tackle your imposter syndrome and activate your existing network and beat procrastination with goal setting and implementation. So, fear number one, you might feel like I don't have enough experience or I'm not good enough. So, let's overcome your imposter syndrome. So, what is imposter syndrome? Just to quickly define it, you may feel like your success is the result of luck, like it's not a result of your own actions. And then you might even struggle with internalizing positive feedback or success, feeling like it wasn't me, it just was this circumstance or luck why I was successful in this project. You may have a fear of being found out that you're not good enough, or a fear of failure. And all of this can lead to kind of two extreme ends of the spectrum, which is procrastination, so not even wanting to start on something for the fear of failure, or even on the other end of it, it could be overworking yourself or being a perfectionist. And so neither of these things are positive contributors to a good job search, right? It can stop you in your tracks. So, overcoming imposter syndrome. And I do want to say that about 70% of working professionals have experienced some form of imposter syndrome. So, you're not alone in feeling that way. And so, one first step that you could do is acknowledge and reframe your thoughts. So, is this negative thought about myself helping or hindering me? And then on the other end, you could value constructive criticism, right? Take that feedback and find spaces where you can grow. What can you actually control? But also try to find ways to help yourself feel like you're not alone. Finding a mentor, networking, and we'll get into that in the next few slides, can really help you start building that support network and realize that, the people that are in the careers that you're interested in or you're trying to pursue have been in your shoes before. They've felt lost or felt imposter syndrome before. And I think one actionable step to help overcome imposter syndrome is to actually track your success. And I wanted to share this accomplishment tracker from the Muse. And at the end of our presentation, I'll put the link into the chat. But I think this is a really great way to kind of like a mindfulness exercise to keep track of your successes throughout the week. And so in this accomplishment tracker, it allows you to basically in one document put in one thing that you're proud of from the week, or any positive feedback you received, or challenges you overcame during that week. My other recommendation would be, whenever you have a performance evaluation or feedback from a professor, copy that information and put it into a separate document that you can come back to later. And that will be really helpful for preparing for interviews or being able to express your skills on your resume and your strengths. Because if you have a hard time identifying your strengths, but others have shared that with you, you can go back to that information and be able to express it in a way that's desirable to employers. This is just a quick screenshot of that success tracker, and you can just simplify it. Do whatever's going to be easiest for you, but I think this is a great way to keep track of those successes. All right, so along the same lines of feeling imposter syndrome, what if you feel like you have limited experience? And I think this is a common barrier for job seekers who feel like, well, how do I get experience if I don't have any experience? So we want to think more about transferable skills. So the desirable skills that you may see employers looking for, you might have them, but maybe they don't come from an internship or traditional work experience. They could also come from volunteering. Employers value volunteer experience, or even academic or personal projects. Think more about the clubs that you're a part of or the extracurricular activities that you're a part of. Emphasizing leadership experience can be really helpful too. And one thing I've noticed with the students that I work with is they might think that, well, leadership can only come from if I have a VP or a president title within a club. That's not the case at all. You can have leadership experience come from spearheading an initiative or helping out with an event or project. You don't have to have a leadership title to have had leadership experience. So working on expressing these transferable skills in your resume, in your outreach, in your interview skills will really help set you apart if you feel like you have limited experience. I also wanted to share with you this screenshot from the National Association of Colleges and Employers. They have this job outlook report that they produce every year. They survey employers, and these were the top skills that employers were looking for in early career talent. And I would imagine that for most of you, limited experience or not, you have many of these skills and they come from a variety of places. So as an example, maybe your background is purely in the restaurant industry and you want to pivot into real estate. Well, I think there are a lot of transferable skills that you've gained from working in the restaurant industry that can move over into real estate. And it might be customer facing skills, right? Ability to work on a team, problem solving. So now how do we transfer those skills to this next role that we're applying for? We target the transferable skills and show them as accomplishments in our resume and in the interview process. And the only other thing I want to point out here too is if you look at the top 5 skills here, and actually throughout this list, many of these are what some people refer to as soft skills, but I like to think of them more as interpersonal skills. And they're skills you can develop from a wide range of experiences. All right. Fear number 2. I don't have a strong network. Networking is huge. It's so important in your job search. But if you feel like you are starting from scratch, you don't have a network or a strong network maybe you're pivoting to a new industry and you need to develop a network in that industry. So where do you even begin? So let's talk about activating your existing network. So networking is really important, and I usually recommend that in your job search, it should take up about 40%, maybe even more, of your job search process beyond just submitting applications. About 80% of jobs are filled through some form of networking. So let's reframe networking, kind of take down the pressure of what you think networking might be. It's all about gathering advice, getting information, getting recommendation. This allows you to have a more strategic, targeted job search. And it's also You're relationship building, right? You're sharing knowledge. You have valuable information to share too. It's mutually beneficial. This is not just a one and done interaction. You're developing a support network for yourself and then also in turn for other people. All right, so if you feel like you don't have a network or you don't have a strong network, where can you go? So we want to think about your existing communities. Um, think about your current or past university alumni. They are part of your network, even if you've never spoken to them before, right? You have that point of connection with an alum from your university, and you can reach out to them. Think about your former or current professors. Maybe you have a professor who's in the industry that you're really interested in pursuing and you resonated with their class. Reach out to them, have a conversation with them. It might be your work partners or even their connections, and of course, family and friends. And not everyone can rely on family as a network. And so that's why we want to look at these other network populations too, in order to really expand and diversify our reach. And so, my recommendation to you, maybe one of the goals that we set after this session, is to start reaching out to people in these communities for quick informational conversations. And they can be people that you've never had a conversation with before. And we can talk a bit about that. So, informational interviews or informational conversations is one form of networking, and the main purpose is to get advice on different career paths, pivoting, industries, corporate culture of where they work. It's also kind of like a trial run for job interviews, so you can kind of practice the process of speaking to those professionals. And then, of course, it's all in the pursuit of expanding and creating a strong network for yourself. And the goal for these informational conversations should be about a 15 and maybe 20-minute Zoom or phone conversation. And I'll share in the chat in just a moment this Muse article on informational conversations, and it gives some great ideas in terms of what you can ask. But it's all about this other person, right? You want to learn about their experience. How did they get to where they are? So that you can help yourself better target your search. Couple different ways to find these contacts. So we have a few here at Santa Clara University. Of course, on LinkedIn, students can go to the Santa Clara University page and click on the alumni tab on that page. And you can do that within your own university as well to identify connections that you'd like to reach out to. We also have a closed community called Bronco Exchange, which is a direct communication tool for alumni and students. So if you're not part of the Santa Clara University community, I definitely recommend going back to your alma mater to see if there's a similar platform that connects alumni with students. And so maybe you've identified someone you'd like to reach out to for an informational conversation. What is that message going to look like? It's going to be very clear and concise. You're going to introduce yourself. Who are you? And how are you connected? What's the point of connection between me and this person I'm reaching out to? And that might be that we graduated from the same school, or we studied the same thing, or we know a mutual connection. And then be really clear in terms of why you're reaching out. You want to learn more about their how they pivoted from biotech into finance, as an example. So, really being clear in terms of what you might be asking them. And then I think the kicker here is to keep the ask super minimal. So someone is going to be more likely to say yes to an informational conversation if the ask is a 15-minute Zoom or phone conversation versus an in-person hour-long coffee chat. And that's really for someone maybe you've never interacted with before. So if you ask for a 15-minute conversation, I think the yes is easier there. And then if you land that conversation, be considerate. Be mindful that your ask was 15 minutes, right? So this initial outreach is not asking for a job or internship, and you're not sending them your resume unless they ask for it. All right, and then with that, I'm going to kick it off to Miriam to introduce fear number 3.
Thank you, Shana. I don't have enough time. And if time is limited to you, I would like you to start thinking about what are some strategies that you can use to set realistic goals and stop procrastinating. So just ponder on that question. And we can go to the next slide. What comes to your mind when you see this illustration? And you can put it on the chat. So let's take a few seconds. So what comes to your mind when you see this illustration? And Shona, you will look at the chat and then just let me know what are some of the comments from the participants today.
Sure. So we have a few here: missed opportunity, fear of missing out, feeling behind. I missed the boat. That's what I thought first too. Missed the deadline, not knowing the timing of things, maybe even when to apply.
Yeah, you really captured the meaning of this illustration. And now we know why dinosaurs went extinct. So yeah, they didn't get the memo. So we can go to the next slide. It will only take me 1 minute to check my phone, my email, my TikTok, my Twitter, my Snapchat, Instagram messages. So you got the picture. But what is happening, and if we can be honest to ourselves, is that we spend way too much time on social media. And we usually think about procrastination as the act of delaying or putting off tasks until the last minute or past the deadline. But according to Dr. Tim Fischel, who is the author of Solving the Procrastination Puzzle, he says that procrastination is a failure of self-control. This is what I learned about procrastination. And this is really important because procrastination is not about time management. It's about mood management. We put off aversive tasks, things that appear boring, frustrating, difficult, not rewarding, or lacking in personal meaning. In a few words, we put off tasks that bring out our unpleasant or negative emotions. And by procrastinating, we let our moods rather than our values drive our behavior. If we want to reach our job search goals, or if we're looking for an internship, then how can we do that? So how can we stop procrastinating? Gabriel Oettingen and Peter Gollitwitzer are NYU psychology professors, and they have done fascinating work. They are responsible for some of the most important research that can be easily applied to goal setting and implementation, so you can be able to reach your goals. And they call it WOOP, and it stands for Wish, Outcome, Obstacle, and Plan. And let's take a look at the short video they produced.
To think positive and rid ourselves of harmful negative self-talk. However, research has shown that positive thinking doesn't work nearly as well as we're told. The more students positively envision themselves getting a job, the fewer job offers they received. The more college students envisioned successfully starting a romantic relationship, the less likely they got together with their crushee. The more hip replacement surgery patients imagined themselves having a smooth recovery, the less they were able to move their new joint. And the more positive overweight people's fantasies about their success in losing weight was, the fewer pounds they lost. Over 20 years, our research has revealed that just dreaming about a positive future saps energy needed to reach the positive future, predicts low physical and mental health, and predicts diminished well-being and poor personal development. But we can perform better if we combine the pleasurable task of envisioning the desired future with additional steps, acknowledging the obstacles we need to surmount, and planning exactly how we will overcome these obstacles. As an approach to behavior modification, this conscious 4-step procedure, specifying a wish, specifying and imagining the best outcome, specifying and imagining the obstacles within ourselves, and forming a plan, strengthens mental associations in our minds without our awareness, predicting measurable increases in energy, and in turn, better performance. We call this method WHOOP. To test WHOOP, we gave a group of high school students preparing to take an important standardized test a short exercise incorporating WHOOP, while a second group received a placebo. Students exposed to WHOOP completed over 60% more practice questions than participants in the control group. In another study, we gave one group of middle-aged women information about the benefits of a healthy diet, and another group the same information plus WHOOP. For a period of up to 2 years, the women who were taught WHOOP ate more fruits and vegetables than those in the information-only group. Other intervention studies have shown that people who use this method are losing weight, getting better grades, become successful negotiators, and improve their relationships. The magic of WHOOP is that by automating cognition, emotion, and behavior, it triggers people to become motivationally intelligent. It is low cost, easy to use, and can be applied to different life domains and across demographics. By learning and applying WHOOP, you will come away more motivated and skilled than ever to make clear decisions, take action, connect with others, and engage with the world. All from a simple but awakening question: what is it that holds you back from fulfilling your wish?
Very nice. Yes. So I would like you to think about a wish that you want to accomplish that is challenging but feasible. So I would like to find an internship for the summer of 2027. And I would like to prepare right now, or I would like to find a job as well. Think about how will you feel when you accomplish that wish? And what do you think is the main obstacle inside you that may be preventing you from reaching that goal? And what is your plan? So in situation X, I will do behavior Y to achieve sub-goal Z. And we have an example of how you can utilize WHOOP to set and implement goals. So here is the example. What is my wish? I wish to secure an internship or entry-level job in marketing that is focused on practical digital skills like content creation and social media. How am I going to feel if I'm able to reach that goal? If I find a job in marketing, then it will allow me to start paying off my student loans, and then I'm going to gain more skills. I will feel more comfortable with my marketing experience. I can add those skills to my resume, to my LinkedIn profile, and then I will have financial independence. But what is the obstacle? What is holding me back? Well, I get distracted by Netflix. On my phone, social media. I need to check my email or my TikTok or my Instagram messages, which reduces my daily outreach and job search productivity. So I get distracted. What is my plan? What I'm going to do about it? Well, if I would like to look at my phone or there are new series on Netflix, please know that you can still watch your favorite shows, your favorite movies. You can still check social media. But what you can do is, well, here's a strategy. I can put my phone in another room and spend 20 minutes reaching out to one marketing professional and trying to talk about the importance of networking, to have those virtual coffee chats, just to learn more about the skills that you may need, or just make those connections, either with your alumni, with your internal or external network. And if you are from Santa Clara University, or you went to another university and you have access to career services, then another strategy will be to set up a one-on-one career coaching session with the Career Center. How to beat procrastination. So getting started is the major issue in procrastination. So start thinking about when and where you'll start. And you need to stay on track. So if I'm going to sit down to prepare for a job interview, as we talked before, I will turn on my phone off. And if I don't hear from a recruiter or a hiring manager or one of my internal or external network, then I will apply to several internships and jobs, and then I will set out an appointment again with my university career center, because 80% of jobs are found through the hidden job market, and that is done through networking. So let's recognize that procrastination is an emotion-focused coping strategy. We very easily give in to feel good. So how can we stop giving in to feel good? And you may have heard about Dr. Dan Siegel, and he coined the phrase, name it to tame it. So when you are feeling anxious, or perhaps you are feeling discouraged, or you are stressed, or you are tired, just name that emotion, and then you won't give power to it. And then don't expect to be motivated. Just get started. Use Whoop. So we just saw how you can use Whoop. What is your wish? What is the outcome? What is the obstacle? What is preventing me from meeting my internship and job search goals? And then what I'm going to do about it. And then some of you have heard, eat that frog. So how can you do that? Identify one challenging task that will be the frog. And then when you complete that task, if you are a morning person, so you can start doing that first thing in the morning. So you're going to eat that frog. And practice time travel. Believe me that your future self will thank you, will be really happy with your decisions, the decisions that you are making today. And then just ask again your future self really how your future self will feel about those choices today. And practice self-compassion and forgiveness, because finding a job is a full-time job. You may be rejected. Just think about all the skills that you are learning, and then what are some of your character strengths that are going to help you to be motivated and keep going with the internship and job search process. Fear number 4. I don't know where to start. So yeah, I learned about the importance of networking. I understand how I can stop procrastinating, about Whoop, but I don't know where to start. So what am I supposed to do next? So how you are going to be able to build procrastination with goal setting and implementation. And here are 3 questions that I always share with the students that I work here in the Career Center. I want you to think about the job titles or key responsibilities that you will ideally seek in your next job. And then start thinking about the companies, organizations, or industries that you envision being a good fit for you. We cannot be what we cannot imagine. And when I talk to students, sometimes they tell me, well, Miriam, I don't even know what kind of companies I'm pursuing. That's why networking is so important, because you are going to start learning about the companies that the people that you are talking to work for. So it can give you insightful information, and you can say to yourself, oh, I never thought about that company. Or perhaps they can share information to you about, hey, have you thought about this company? Oh, I have a friend who works for this company, and I will be happy to introduce you to that person. So start listing at least 5 to 7 companies, organizations, or industries, again, that you think will be a good fit for you. And then, as part of your networking strategy, identify, again, start with 5 to 7 people in your network, could be inside or outside your network, that you think will be the most influential in assisting you in your job search. I'm not talking about people who are going to find a job or an internship for you. I'm talking about people who can become mentors, as Shona mentioned, or who can give you important information, or who work for the companies that you would like to pursue, who can become champions for you. So the network is key. Remember, guys, if you hear a voice within you say, you cannot paint, oh, job search is too difficult, just give up, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. Vincent van Gogh.
Before we end our presentation today, we also wanted to share a few apps and resources that might be helpful to keep you on track. So a few might be some planners based on positive psychology, and I think that Success Tracker is a good example of this as well, but a few others would be Best Self Planner, Panda, VIA. You've probably also heard of the Pomodoro technique, which is essentially setting aside 25 minutes of very focused work with a 5-minute break and kind of doing those in repeated chunks. But there are plenty of different Pomodoro type apps that you could download to keep you productive and setting up chunks of time where you have like targeted search time. And maybe you need to gamify things. We need to make things fun, right? And so there are lots of different apps out there where you can gamify goal setting, and you set up your own goals, but it makes it a little bit more fun and might help with the motivation factor too. So Habitica, Forest App, or Superbetter are just a couple examples. And there's lots of research and resources out there for overcoming imposter syndrome, or helping you gain success within your habits. So these are a few that we recommend and that Miriam recommends as well. I'm happy to put these in the chat after the session too. We want to also invite you all, before we go to a Q&A part of this session, to join our next 2 workshops that we have this summer. So next Friday on the 31st, we have Join LinkedIn Live. We have an amazing alum who works for LinkedIn, and they're going to share all these wonderful resources for how to optimize your LinkedIn experience. And then we have a great panel of recruiters on August 12th. That's our Tips from Recruiters panel. And they're going to share their insight into the job search process. So strongly recommend you join us for these next 2 virtual sessions. And those QR codes will take you to the registration process for those sessions as well. But you can also view our calendar on our Career Center website to register on Zoom for those sessions. And then for our current SCU students, we also encourage you to join our resume workshop that we have coming up, our Hire Me workshop. This is also virtual through Zoom, and that QR code will take you to Handshake to register. That will be on August 19th from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific Coast time. All right, and now I'm happy to open it up to any questions from the chat as well. So feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand if you'd like to come off mute and ask a question. I do see one in the question from Mark. Yes, we did record this session, and the recording will be available to the public. We have a YouTube channel for the SCU Career Center where we do post some of our workshops. So all of the workshop series that we're doing this summer are being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. Noelle kindly put that link in the chat as well. So subscribe so that you can get updates whenever we post there. And typically after a session, we try to post as quickly as possible, but I would say like give us a week post session to edit and get it posted there as well. Let's see if we have any other questions coming through. Maybe if there aren't any questions, if anyone wants to share kind of what's the next step or an actionable item you might take after this session based on some of the information that we shared. What's something that feels like, yeah, I think I'm going to do this today or tomorrow?
Or what resonated for you as well. So anything that you learned today that you didn't know about. So yes, just add it to the chat.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Put into the chat research into the productivity apps, try to get them to help keep you on task, which is great. Learning about Whoop. Yeah, thank you, Miriam, who brought this great system to our team. So I'm glad to hear, Jennifer, that that's something you'd like to start working on and utilizing. All right. Okay, so we do have a question in the chat from David. David writes, I'm not sure if I should start applying for a job that is easy to get into with no prior experience first, such as grocery store, or start with a job that actually speaks to the major I graduated with, and which path should I choose? So I think this is a great question, and I mean, if I were in your shoes, I would feel like not knowing where to even start, and that could be a barrier in and of itself. My recommendation could be that you could take on a part-time job just to get some experience to be working while you're doing the job search process. But the job search in and of itself is a job, right? It takes a lot of time and energy. So I think having some of those networking conversations with people that are in the careers that you're interested in, regardless of major, would be a good place to start to see how do they get into their career. Because maybe there are some specific skills that you can start working on to add into your resume to make you a more competitive candidate. If you feel like the careers you're interested in aren't fully aligned with your major. And then I'd also like to share, David, if you're an alum, alumni can meet with our office. We do offer one-on-one coaching on one-off basis for alums. So if you'd like to chat with our office, you're welcome to do so as well. Miriam, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
No, and actually, David is going to be part of the recent grad job search program in the summer. So
Great.
I'm so happy that you will join us.
Awesome. Okay, Betty, thanks for popping a question in the chat. Betty's from the class of 2024. Currently work full-time as an accounting clerk, but with no room for growth. I'm working on art skills to pivot to animation. Wow. But think it would be more suitable to pivot to a higher paying finance role that you're not too passionate about. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I think it can be hard to juggle, what you feel like might be a more lucrative career or easier to get into versus where our passions lie. Miriam, do you have any advice here for Betty?
I think that I will continue with those networking conversations and then try to do some reflection about what are your values, what are your guiding principles. So I always tell students that the formula to having a successful career is when you are tapping again into your values, guiding principles, and you are utilizing your skill set. And it's part of your purpose. It's part of what you would like to do. It's part of what makes you and feel accomplished.
Okay, great. We have a comment from Jen in the chat. On networking, find an alum in your field and reach out to see if you could have a conversation about what knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences are needed for the roles that you're targeting. That's great advice. Let's see. I think we have one more question. Or we might have a couple actually. From Ada. Hello, I haven't even started my graduate program yet. Well, congratulations. And if it's at Santa Clara, we're excited to have you join us in the fall. I've already been told to prepare for summer internship applications for 2027. Yes, for depending on the industry, many internships do hire surprisingly early for next summer. And that can be maybe a surprise for some folks or intimidating, especially if you're pivoting into a new space, if, maybe you have limited experience in the graduate program that you're moving into. Right, the pace is so fast and I feel unprepared. Given the situation, how can I improve myself before the semester begins? Well, I think it does depend on kind of the space that you're pivoting into or moving into. It could be, maybe the roles you're looking at are very technical. So if there are any maybe training that you could do over the summer, if there's like a specific platform that you need to learn for the careers that you're looking at, and maybe you don't take those classes until the fall or the winter, that might be something to look into. Again, I think we're going to say this every other sentence, but networking would be really good to do before classes start. So maybe reaching out to your future classmates or even alums from that graduate program to start building that network, because it's going to be easier to build it when you don't need it immediately. But if you're maybe next winter you're still looking for internships, if you've had some conversations over the summer, that's going to be a support network that you can tap back into later on as well. Okay, Mo has a good question too, kind of aligned with this as well. Should I always be aware of my industry of interest timeline to apply for their job postings, or just apply throughout the year? Great question, Mo. Yeah, I think doing some research in terms of the timeline would be really helpful, because, finance roles, they may hire far earlier than some humanity roles. But I think it also depends on the company too, right? So some may have a very rigid timeline when they post internships or jobs. So I think it just depends, but there's a lot of information out there. And so just doing some searching online to see historically when job postings have been submitted. However, if you are like right now in a job search, I think just keeping a maintained consistent momentum is going to keep you going, if you're looking to, start as soon as possible, of course. Just looking to see if we have any other questions. All right, Devin, interested in one-on-one coaching. If you're a SU student or an alum, I think what I'll do is I'll put the Career Center. Great, you're an alum, awesome. I'll put our Career Center email into the chat, and feel free to send us an email and we'll get you started.
Or if you have Handshake access, still, you can set up a one-on-one career coaching session as well. And we may be able to answer one more question.
All right, I think that's all the questions we have in the chat. want to thank all of you for joining us today. Hope you enjoy wherever you are, sunny, whatever the weather is. And we look forward to seeing you at any of our upcoming workshops. I'll go back to that screen as well. We have 2 more coming up. Feel free to join us, but thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, guys. Take care.